This is episode number 114 of the Guns Magazine podcast. Hi there, and welcome to the Guns Magazine podcast. I'm your host and the editor of Guns Magazine, Brent T. Thanks for joining us as we talk to the interesting folks who make up the world of shooting, hunting, and the firearms industry. But first, before we get started, let's have a short chat about our sponsor, Luth-AR. Luth-AR is home of the NBA buttstock, which is an affordable, lightweight, fully adjustable buttstock for AR-15 fixed and collapsible rifles. But that's not all. Luth-AR is your one-stop shop for build kits, replacement parts, and custom accessories including the chubby grip, palm handguards, oversized switch safety, and paddle bolt catch. Luth-AR is proudly made in the USA, and with 4 decades of experience will continue their mission of innovate to dominate with high-quality products for your ARs. Find out more at Luth-AR.com. The following story is my sonnet praising the friendly neighborhood surplus store. It was published in the March 2021 issue of Guns Magazine, and we got a lot of mail on the story, so it obviously struck a nerve with readers. So I thought our podcast audience might likewise find it entertaining. Therefore, here we go with Where the Mildew Grows, an ode to the surplus stores of our youth. Today, I was perusing a nearby outdoor store. I use parentheses around the word outdoor, as most of these stores are nowadays quite unrecognizable as such. This sad state of affairs comes after mega-corporation box stores have essentially destroyed the local retailer scene, rendering bait shops, camping emporiums, and gun stores obsolete and out of business. So there I am, entering the glass and chrome megastore to purchase a box of shotgun shells. I was momentarily disoriented after making a wrong turn at the tire care center and wound up in the skateboard section. I didn't realize it as such, as most of the clothing appeared to be either radioactive or resembled my lucky rabbit hunting pants after they've done several seasons of briars and barbed wire fences. On a whim, I decided to check out the duds before leaving the area. Looking at the price tags, it became immediately apparent all those old clothes were designer-labeled apparel costing more than my first boat, including the lawn chairs. And that was just for a pair of camo pants. A high-tech winter parka with integrated Bluetooth and GPS capabilities cost the equivalent of a small condominium in Boca Raton in February. As the salesman came up and greeted me with a highly trained, "Sup, my doodly," I fled from the area just in case he thought I was some kind of weird late 50s guy looking to purchase a midlife crisis. I am, of course, but I didn't want him to know it. I eventually found the shooting department, and I was amazed. In terms of selection, the breadth and depth of clamshell packaged accessories was stunning. This being a while ago, the ammo tables were groaning under stacks of every sort of shell and cartridge currently in production, while the walls were lined with hundreds upon hundreds of firearms of every description. There was even a fine gun room. It exuded a strong gravitational pull, drawing me into the darkened walnut-clad alcove to ogle the wares. Fortunately, they were all safe and sanitary behind glass doors, immune to the drool eliciting from gun riders and other small boys. However, after frolicking for uncounted minutes like a sugar-buzzed toddler, I walked away feeling strangely unsatisfied. The whole thing just seemed so sterile, so unnatural. The weird feeling persisted and weighed heavily on my mind as I headed up to the 74-lane checkout queue. Standing there in line, I pondered all this while waiting for the gender-neutral Summer Fawn, according to his, her, or its name tag, to finish a phone call and ring up my shells. As Fawn tried unsuccessfully to operate the cell phone, run the cash register, and make change simultaneously, I recognized my upset was due to the realization that yet another cherished piece of childhood had been subverted, perverted, and ultimately killed by a multinational corporation. A crashing wave of melancholy flooded over me as I realized one of my favorite youthful hangouts was now gone forever. The corner Army-Navy surplus store and gun shop. It really distresses me to realize my cohorts and I were the last generation to understand the joys contained therein. You could walk into these male-oriented retailers with a hard-earned buck burning a hole in your non-stonewashed jeans, and walk out an hour later with enough junk to outfit a light infantry brigade, minus the artillery and sidearms. Today, a child walking into an outdoor store with $1 couldn't even purchase a small spiced pumpkin decaf latte with oat milk and mocha sprinkles. I've got to say, though, for stirring up faded memories in any guy of my era, there's nothing quite like the scent of rotting canvas, cosmoline, and rancid boots to immediately transport you back to 1975. The air in a surplus store was not only fragrant, but undoubtedly contaminated with military fungicide, various tropical mold spores, and bacteria from places where politics is usually practiced with firearms. Sometimes I wonder if these noxious yet intoxicating fumes adversely affect my brain development and force me into a life of gun riding instead of gainful employment. A trip to the surplus store gun shop was always full of surprises and adventure. Since most of these establishments were run by crusty and slightly disreputable old men, hygiene were definitely lacking by Civil War standards. However, we happily dove into the oversized crates along the store walls, tunneling through mountains of stained sleeping bags and other unrecognizable jetsam in search of hidden treasure. At my tender age, the gun counter was still off limits to hands-on handling. Yet we still spent callous hours ogling the worn lever actions, the sleek bolt guns, and the weird selection of old military rifles, all of which were marked $29.95. Because of our incessant digging, coupled with the profound lack of interest by the proprietor, the stores tended to be highly disorganized, making any shopping trip an extended scavenger hunt, where a broken Norden bomb sight or a moth-eaten .45 flap holster might be found buried under a huge stack of ripped parachutes. As with any type of hunting, it was great fun. We always watched the store like it was our job, waiting for new arrivals to expand our collection of worn-out militaria. Whenever word of a fresh shipment reached our ears, the neighborhood boys descended like a swarm of buzzards, ripping and tearing through the piles in order to find that perfect specimen. The finest and best items were not the most pristine, but those with interesting damage. We'd buy all kinds of wholly worthless junk and make up elaborate stories, which are known today as bald-faced lies, about all the small surface dings we claimed were the result of a German sniper attempting to kill General Patton as he drank from this very canteen. All our lawn mowing money went for necessities such as rusty bayonets and dry-rotted gas masks, mandatory gear for any sleep out when you're 12 years old. This was long before parents discovered everyday dirt is more dangerous than communism. As our gang, which meant something entirely different in those days, traipsed to our top-secret campsite in the woodlot across the cornfield, we resembled a platoon of half-pint soldiers en route to a date with destiny and burnt marshmallows. Well, minus the rifles. Our hand-me-down single-shot .22s were all safely locked away at home until we reached a more mature age, say 15. Unfortunately, we all eventually got older. The world moved on, and the old-fashioned Army surplus gun store ran into a new generation. Nowadays, kids have seemingly unlimited amounts of discretionary income and a distinct contempt for products with active, visible mildew. Today's kids would no more sleep in a smelly, patched Army pup tent than to wear last year's snowboarding apparel. Well, at least those who still venture outdoors. It's obvious the changing tastes of younger outdoors enthusiasts signaled the death knell for those weird, wonderful, and delightfully untamed retail emporiums. Well, then again, looking back at all those nights I froze in a worn-out GI sleeping bag as I dreamed of owning my own poorly sporterized 6.5 by 52 Carcano, perhaps the current generation did us a favor. And with that, I sincerely hope you're enjoying the Guns Magazine podcast. Guns Magazine was first on the newsstand, and today we're bringing you the most interesting chats and stories in the gun world. If you've got questions or comments about the show, please email me. That would be editor@gunsmagazine.com. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment on your favorite podcast directory, YouTube, and of course at gunsmagazine.com. And while you're online, don't forget to check out our great sister publications, American Handgunner Magazine at AmericanHandgunner.com, AmericanCop.com, and while you're visiting both, please sign up for our great newsletters. Most of all, while you're online, I'd also appreciate it if you'd share a favorite episode or some kind words on your own social media. Well, that's it for this episode of the Guns Magazine podcast. On behalf of the entire crew at FMG Publications, I'd like to thank you for listening and for reading. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent T. Now, get out there and get shooting.